Welcome to part 2 of practice 1, working with InDesign. You are drawing off your blue sheets, and all of your main photos and stories, captions should be at 1 pica space apart. I've drawn my eye line in along the bottom here. It goes right through, and it's 1 pica. Whole numbers. How do I double check? Click on the line. That line's on 45. Right here it says 45 on the y-axis. And 46. So it's a whole number. It's 1 space apart. All right. I'm going to draw another photo here. I'm going to use my columns that are already in place because they are already 1 pica space apart. And I'm going to snap this object here. This photo box. Okay. Snap it in. Let's make sure that the photo is indeed on a whole number. So to check that the bottom is actually on a whole number, I'm going to zoom in. I want to make sure it is. I can zoom in. I can see it's snapped on the guideline. But another way to check, this anchor point represents this little map here. So if I click here, that anchor point, I know that that anchor point is sitting on 45. All right? Let's go to the top anchor point. Zoom up here. Where is this anchor point? Let's click with my selection tool. Okay? And select the top. And that anchor point is on 21. Don't worry about where it is on the x-axis. That's side to side. Let's check this anchor point on the right, which stands for this anchor point. It's off. It's on 46.7.2. So let's make sure it's on a whole number. And now it's on 47, all right, on the x-axis. So that one's now ready to put the stroke on. So we'll put 3 point for now, black stroke, all right? So that's a bit of a review about drawing boxes. However, I like usually bigger photos towards the middle. So I'm going to swap these 2 photos out. So using the selection tool, I move this one out. And then I'm going to just use my arrow keys and shift this box over. I can hold shift down on the keyboard and just use my arrow keys. And then I'll select this box. And then I can shift. You can use the mouse. It's probably faster, but sometimes if you just want to shift something slightly, it's easier just to kind of move it around. Now, I'm going to zoom back in and make sure these boxes are back on the guidelines. This one is not. It's not back. Use my arrow keys there. I'm going to double check this one. Is that anchor point sitting on that line? Let's check. No, it's a little off. It's 47.1.5. Okay. And just make sure it's snapped on there. There we go. Always double check. Hit the W, right? So that's a bit of a review. Let's talk about layers. I want to put a red background in, but I don't want to put the red background in on the same layer as this, where my pictures are going. So I'm going to make a new layer. It's down here. Create a new layer. It's hard to see. I'll zoom in so you can read it a little bit better. Create a new layer. Create a new layer. Click it. Now I have 2 layers on both pages. There's my new layer. Double click. Let's call it background. Yeah. And it's in red. Click it. Fine. I'm going to lock this layer up. Put a little lock on the front layer. And I'm going to get a regular box and I'm going to draw and snap it on the bleed line. All right? Boom. There it is. It's there. Don't believe me? I could put a stroke around it, but I don't really want a stroke on it. I just want to fill it. Your fill box is here. Fill. Double click. I'll do some sort of red fill. Now the problem is it's covered up my picture boxes, my photo boxes, and my story. Swap them. Unlock this one now and swap. There. Now it's back. Now your background is below, and that's how you create a background. A couple other things I can show you in this second tutorial. Go back to the front layer, and click on a box here. I'll zoom in. Object, effects, drop shadow. Okay, we could put a drop shadow in. Multiply, angle of view, size, you could go bigger. Okay, make sure it's selected there. Object, effects, drop shadow. It may not work until I actually have a photo inside, but let's just see. And the angle. No, I don't see it appearing yet, so let's just click OK. Oh, it is there. It just wasn't previewing, okay? So there is that. So I'm going to undo that. I didn't really like that. Just kind of showing you where there's some stuff. Corner options. You can change what the corner looks like. They're linked all together, so you just have to change one. Bevel, rounded. Preview. Oh, check the preview button off. That's helpful. Make it bigger. Maybe by 2 picas. So that's how you can create rounded corners. So perhaps you can put a few rounded corners on some of your boxes as well. So this will conclude step 2 of practice 1. Maybe I'll fill my story box. So let's do one more. I lied. I'm going to do one more thing. All right, I'm going to fill that with white because the story is going to go in there. So let's fill it with white. All right. W. And let's do one more thing. All right, I want you to type in here. Now, you don't just click and start typing because then the text is going to be too close to the edge. You take the text tool, and I'm going to create a third layer. And we'll call this text layer. Anything that has to do with text. And I will click and I will drag another box on top of that box. The box that I'm dragging and drawing is in green because, right, I'm in the green layer over here. Green. And now you can put a fake story in. Now I did say that stories are usually 12, all right, and I'll pick maybe just a standard font for my story, okay? Maybe I'll just do Times New Roman or something like that, or pick one of these ones here. All right. Regular. And because I pre-drew the box, all right, you get the idea here. I'll just finish this. It only goes to the edge, and then it goes down. I don't even have to hit return. It automatically goes down. And you can put a fake story in here. Okay. There's a little red plus sign telling me that my story is beyond my box. There's too much writing to fit. I could pull this down a bit, see if it'll fit, or I got to delete some text till that comes back. There, it's disappeared. And because this is a separate text box now, I can now move it around inside the white box and make sure it's centered. So it looks nice. Hit the W, make sure. And again, I can kind of shift it around. I could highlight all the text, double click, get my text tool. And I could do word formatting as well. Center it, or use more newspaper style, like force adjust, or adjust to the left, to the right, to this side, to that side. Usually in yearbook we'd use one of these ones, but then you do get wacky spaces, so sometimes we try that and see what happens, just so it fills the spot appropriately. So you can also do that with your headlines as well, that you can fill in with your headlines, okay? Or I'll save that, and that'll be enough for the second part of practice 1. Thank you.